Hi and welcome to another big Arsenal discussion. I'm your host Giles, and alongside me we've got Amanda from the Gooner Girls podcast, Robbie from Arsenal Fan TV, Dan, former editor of FHM magazine, and blogger extraordinaire, novelist, Dave Seeger. I'm going to start with let's move on to the injury situation. Groundhog season, groundhog everything. I don't know how else we can sort of like jazz it up, but it's the same thing every week. Now we've got Wiltshire out. We don't know how long for. He had surgery and so on and so forth. We've got Arteta out. It's going to be a massive blow. I'm going to start with you, Dan. What's your assessment of the injury situation at Arsenal?
Leaving aside Wiltshire and Arteta, which I think will affect us over the next few weeks, I want to touch on a couple of the injuries that I think have really plagued us season. One is Debuchy, and he's been injured so long, you've almost forgotten how good he was when he joined. In his first few weeks of the season, he was absolutely brilliant. He can go forward, he can track back and defend, he closes players down. He's not one of those players that needs to get a book in every game. He was reliable. Great hair.
Right, yeah.
Tattoos.
And the other injury, which I think is, a bit more of a controversial one, also great hair, Giroud. Giroud is one of those players that frustrates you. He frustrated me a lot last season. But I think the reason why we've missed Giroud so much is not just for the goals he scores, but the impact and the influence he has on other players. Look at Ramsey. I mean, Ramsey this season has been back to old Ramsey. He's been terrible. He's had the odd flash of brilliance, but he hasn't scored a single goal in a game with Welbeck. Now you look at his goal-scoring record with Giroud, and part of that for me is the reason is that Giroud gets the ball, he holds it up, and then players like Ramsey or Walcott, when he's fit, they make the runs, Giroud plays the balls. If you look at the assists he gets and just the influence that he has on the team, he calms things. Whereas when you look at the speed and the pace that we've got now with Sanchez and with Welbeck, you've got players that get the ball, they dart forward. It's a totally different type of football to the type that we play with Giroud. And I think that the players, a lot of those midfield players and the creative midfield players like your Ramseys and your Wiltshires, they struggle to play in that team with Welbeck and Sanchez because you've got these two tiers and you've got your strikers push forward and your midfielders stay there. And I think without Giroud, it's been a totally different Arsenal formation to last season.
Interesting thoughts, Dave.
And that's a sidetrack from the injury debate. I guess I would agree with that 100%. I think the injury or the lack of injury, perhaps, that worries me the most, and I think it's affected our season the most, has been Koscielny. I mean, it's great to see him back, but you wonder whether he's being rushed back. I don't understand why he was played at the start of the season if he was injured.
But didn't have anyone else.
well, according to Wenger, he had every confidence in Monreal, so you can't say that, can you? So we did have someone else. We could have played Chambers and Mertesacker. I don't understand why Koscielny was played. I just hope we don't get another Vermaelen situation that he comes back and he's not coming back, because he's the biggest miss of our season, without a shadow of a doubt. As for the Jack thing, I've had a lot of our Arsenal fans on Twitter saying it's his own fault, which I'm really annoyed by. At the end of the day, he's a combative midfield player. He was going for his tackles, he always will. I don't have a problem with that. I just hope it's going to be a short-term thing and it's not going to blight his career. The other one that frustrates me the most is Walcott, because we're so pleased to see him with 2 20-minute cameos back and thinking, right, how's the team going to set up and structure now? Because for me, he plays. If he's fit, he plays. And we've been sort of lost him again for a few weeks, which is a frustration. But,
what about the other one, the main one?
Which one's that? Ozil. He doesn't even walk into my first 11, so right. It's not an injury that.
We should stop there then.
It's not an injury that's affected us.
It's not an injury that's affected us
as much as Walcott. You can't talk about all of them. Everyone else wants to have a conversation.
Walcott's not been around for, I can't even remember the last time was Tottenham, wasn't it? How many months?
Yeah, he was our best player on the pitch that day.
Yeah, no, listen, we miss him desperately. But, I mean, Sonogo scoring at 70, 80 seconds, halfway through, I saw him pull up a little bit, and I thought, it's a bit. And then he waves to the bench, and he's still playing. Just go down. And then he's got a hamstring. Well, look, I'm not a Sonogo fan one bit, but he may be needed. We might need him. And you're right about Debuchy. And I think Debuchy, Koscielny, Walcott have been the biggest losses. I've missed Ozil. A lot of people haven't. I've missed him. I think it's like your marionette thing, or whatever you call it. We get one back and one goes. You've got Arteta and Wilshere. I mean, Wilshere's been playing so well. And now we've lost him. And it's not 3 months. Arsenal time is 6 months. Probably seeing March time, April time.
Wenger's going to have to get a bit creative in the next few weeks.
Okay, well, that's not going to happen because that's not his way, is it?
No, it is his way of playing in different positions when you least expect it. That is exactly his way. I'm thinking Monreal at defensive midfield player, personally.
Right, well, we're going to be start talking about this transfer window in January that we never do anything in. He's got to.
Right, let's pull it back to the injuries, though. Let's pull it back. Robbie, you've heard everybody talk about, different people that we've missed. How much are we likely to miss someone like Arteta?
Oh, big star. And you know what? The key thing, what everybody said here, the players that you've mentioned that are injured, they're all key players. That's the problem. Walcott, key player. Giroud's been a key player. Debuchy, as you said, right back, came in to replace Sané, was a key player. Koscielny, key player. Arteta, key player in that midfield. You know, Ozil, key player when it comes to assists. You can't be successful if you're a team that's missing so many key players. That's one of the reasons why Arsenal have not started this season very well. You can talk about tactics and that, etc. That some of that's to do with it.
Yeah.
But when you're missing key players, Jack Wilshere, these are not reserve guys. These are not fringe players. These are your main players that if you had a Chelsea, right? Chelsea have started this season on fire, but every single one of their key players is fit. Everyone. The only one that's had a slight niggle along has been Costa, and even he's played nearly every game.
But
right?
they stay fit.
The same
as
thing
well.
with Manchester City.
So annoying.
All of their players. Now, I don't know. We have so many injuries. I don't know. Is it just bad luck? I was going to ask. You don't. The injury the other day to Jack Wilshere.
That was an unlucky and unfortunate injury.
Bad luck. The injury to Giroud when I was there.
But I heard that Arteta might have been carrying an injury for a few weeks.
But then even that, you can understand if he's carrying a slight niggle, he might have to play because we need him. Because so many other key players are out.
No, but why does he have to play?
Because we don't have anybody else really in that position.
And whose fault is that?
Well, listen, we should have bought a defensive midfielder. That's a whole nother argument.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I'm just trying to balance it a bit here that when you've got so many, look how many players we've all just mentioned, and none of these players are fringe players.
No.
These are key guys, and any team, right? I see City, they'll be missing Aguero and company, and it's not the same City, right? You know what I mean? Last season with Liverpool, if Suarez was out for a game, well, at the moment, they're missing Sturridge. It's like everything's falling apart. He's one guy. You know? Yeah.
I don't think we can say it's bad luck, though. I mean, if it was a season or 2 seasons and it was a few players, you'd say bad luck. But you look at our injuries. It's 10 years of our players every season. It's like, are we buying players without assessing whether they're fully fit or injury-free?
Ospina.
Is it? Yeah, I mean, Ospina. I mean, what's wrong there?
Forgot about him.
Ospina.
You know,
Chesney's injured. Chesney, our goalkeeper. It's ridiculous, really.
Is it the pitch? I mean, there's got to be, and we spent a lot of money bringing in this, Chad, whatever his name.
But you know what?
And a lot of money on the actual medical department.
The thing is, right, look at some of the injuries. If we look at some of the injuries, how they've happened, you can't put those down to the medical team. I mean, Debuchy's injury,
none of them.
Can't blame the medical team. Wilshere's one, you can't blame the medical team. Giroud's one, you can't blame the medical team. Ozil's one.
Maybe, we don't know.
Ozil's one, maybe they let him play slightly. Koscielny's one. Achilles injury, is that the medical team?
Sometimes players have to take responsibility.
I think there is a definite situation that because we've opted to have the best pitch in the Premier League season in, season out as a surface, there isn't as much. It's not because it's not true 100% real grass and real soil. There isn't as much give in our pitch. I mean, I'm not saying that would not affect other players who come and play.
I saw a couple of pictures in your book,
but we do have.
Should we go back a couple of those?
But there is no give. There is no give in the turf at the Emirates because it's synthetic to a degree. It's artificial mixed with real grass. So I think there may be something in that rather than the training regime at Colney or anything. To be fair, I mean, I think it's interesting. And it's also the studs and the boots they wear today are different.
And the way we play.
Rip up the pitch, then you reckon?
Well, if we're trying to give 100 passes when 3 would do, we do overplay things, don't we? So.
I'm wondering if there's some sort of person somewhere who's put a curse on us.
Well, it used to be some.
Why always us?
We need to go out there and hire somebody. But
and he would have got away with it if it wasn't for those meddling kids.
Andy Boyle's mum or something like that.
And when do we ever have an injury that's 2 weeks?
Yeah. Right,
No.
but come on.
When
I
do
mean,
we ever have
let's
3-4
give him some
months?
credit. Giroud's back ahead of schedule.
That's down to
Debuchy-
Giroud because he's just a machine.
We've got Debuchy on his way nearly back. You know,
Yeah.
we've got to give him some kind of
Do you know-
credit, surely.
Who?
Do you know
Give
the
who
one-
credit?
Well, someone's doing something right, isn't it?
Do you know the one positive?
Debuchy's been out. When did he go out?
But wasn't he not diagnosed to come back at the end of the year?
No,
now
I heard
he's
December.
near enough.
January, I think.
I
Yeah,
don't.
he's-
I heard
Giles,
Giroud.
you know the only positive I draw from the injuries, right, is that we've got a guy like Giroud now, and people actually can appreciate how good he was when he was, because that guy used to get a lot of stick, and you made a very good point there. And I don't think it's anything on Welbeck. I think he's just a different type of player to Welbeck, but he is, especially in those away games, he's brilliant at holding that ball and making us play differently. And everybody was slating this guy. Now he's been out a bit. People are like, well, hold on a minute.
Yeah, but I don't know. If that's
Same thing a few
Apart
years.
from okay, so apart from Özil, I'm wondering how many injuries have been inflicted or sustained at Emirates Stadium.
Well, Giroud was at Everton. Debuchy was at us, wasn't it?
Debuchy was at home.
Walcott was at home.
Özil, we
Yeah.
don't really
Yeah.
know. Could have been away or home.
All right,
I'll tell you one of the positives out of the injuries, though. Certain players get a chance to step forward and play week in, week out who might not otherwise. And let's face it, Oxlade-Chamberlain is our most consistent player the last couple of months. You know, and would he have been starting week in, week out without all these injuries? Possibly not. Should he start week in, week out?
Yes.
Possibly yes.
Definitely.
Probably yes,
definitely
yeah.
yes. Which so you know, it's like, and people forget in 2004 everyone talks about the 11. I had a debate with Tim Stillman on that. We only played that 11 twice in the whole season. The 11 that everyone sees as the invincible side, and that was not
In
till
the league.
April.
Are you talking
You know,
about
okay,
Vieira?
all right.
yeah, no, but we did.
Petit?
So
Yeah.
no, that was '98. No, I'm
Oh,
talking about the
sorry.
invincible season.
So-
I'm just
So,
saying
okay.
we have had a lot of injuries in the past, and we've had players like Edu, Parla came in that year.
Okay.
Players have got to come in and step up. That's what the squad game's for.
All right, so leave your comments in the box below. What do you think is the cause of the injuries? How do we solve them?
Want to get something for your Gooner boyfriend or Gooner girlfriend or Gooner kids this Christmas? Then check out AFTVstore.com for all the latest. You can get t-shirts like this, Arsenal Rocks. You can get t-shirts like the latest Alexis Sanchez one. Listen, it's all there at the store. Make sure you check it out for that original gift for your Gooner person. AFTVstore.com. Merry Christmas from everybody here at Arsenal Fan TV.